Texas is a land of endless highways, silent deserts, isolated farms, and crowded cities. A place so massive that criminals often believed they could disappear forever. For decades, some of the most brutal crimes in America unfolded across the Lone Star State. Young couples vanished without warning. Elderly women were attacked inside their own homes. Men were murdered in violent conspiracies hidden beneath lies and betrayal. But Texas investigators had a reputation feared by criminals everywhere. The Texas Rangers believed one thing above all else. A man in the wrong cannot stand up against a man in the right who keeps on coming. This is the story of 3 horrifying Texas murder cases and the relentless pursuit of justice that followed. Before we begin the full story, this channel takes hours of research and careful verification to bring you real crime stories that matter. We invest in tools, software, and time to ensure every detail is accurate and meaningful. If you support this work, help us reach 1,000 subscribers this week. Subscribe, like, share. Now back to story. July 16, 1982. Texas was burning under the summer heat. Young couple Billy Stton and Lety Castro were together that evening, unaware their lives were about to end in violence. Friends described them as normal, happy, and full of plans for the future. Nothing seemed unusual, but suddenly, they vanished. No phone calls, no messages, no sign of where they had gone. At first, family members hoped the couple had simply left town for a short trip. But deep down, many feared something terrible had happened. As hours turned into days, panic spread quickly. Billy and Lety's families contacted authorities. Missing person reports were filed. Friends were questioned. Search efforts began. Investigators tried to trace the couple's last known movements. Who saw them last? Where were they heading? Did they have enemies? The silence surrounding the disappearance became terrifying. In Texas, investigators knew something chilling. People do not simply disappear without reason. Then came the nightmare. Authorities discovered Billy Stton and Lety Castro murdered in separate locations. The crime scene immediately told investigators something important. This was not random. The bodies had been separated intentionally. Someone had moved them. Someone wanted investigators confused. The murders shocked the local community. A young couple had vanished together, and now both were dead. Fear exploded across the area. Because the investigation stretched across multiple locations, the Texas Rangers joined the case. The Rangers had experience handling violent crimes involving multiple suspects and complex evidence trials. They immediately began rebuilding the victims' final hours. Investigators examined vehicle movements, witness sightings, phone records, personal relationships, financial connections. Every detail mattered. Rangers believed more than one person was involved, and they were right. As investigators questioned witnesses, stories began changing. People contradicted themselves, timelines no longer matched. Some individuals appeared nervous under questioning. The Rangers kept applying pressure. Hour after hour, interview after interview. Eventually, investigators uncovered the truth behind the murders. The killers were not strangers hiding in darkness. They were people connected to the victims. Authorities identified the people responsible: Paul Wolf, Sherry Wolf, Glenn Henderson. Investigators uncovered a violent conspiracy involving manipulation, betrayal, and murder. The group believed they could outsmart investigators by separating the bodies and hiding evidence. But the Texas Rangers continued closing in. Slowly, piece by piece, the entire story collapsed around them. The investigation eventually led to convictions. Paul Wolf was sentenced to life in prison. Sherry Wolf was sentenced to life in prison. Glenn Henderson also received a life sentence for his role in the murders. For Billy and Lety's families, the convictions brought painful closure. But the horror of losing 2 loved ones so violently would never disappear completely. Years later, another terrifying crime shocked Texas. Lydia Schumacher was 72 years old. She lived alone in a peaceful farmhouse surrounded by quiet land. Neighbors knew her as hardworking, independent, and kind. Her rural home represented safety, routine, a quiet life far from violence. But on January 22, 1988, evil entered that farmhouse. Authorities arrived at Lydia Schumacher's home after concerns were raised about her safety. Inside, investigators discovered a horrifying crime scene. The elderly woman had been raped and murdered. Signs of violent struggle filled the farmhouse. Furniture was displaced, evidence scattered. Silence covers unimaginable brutality. Even experienced investigators were shaken. The murder horrified the rural community because crimes like this were almost unheard of there. Fear spread instantly. After Lydia's murder, panic swept through nearby farming communities. Elderly residents became terrified of living alone. Doors stayed locked during daylight. Neighbors checked on each other constantly. People feared a violent predator hiding nearby. The Texas Rangers joined local investigators immediately. The brutality of the crime suggested a dangerous offender capable of attacking again. Time mattered. The Rangers carefully processed the farmhouse. Every inch of the crime scene was examined. Fingerprints, fibers, biological evidence, footwear impressions, but rural investigations were difficult. The isolated location meant few witnesses, limited surveillance, delayed discovery of evidence. Still, Rangers refused to stop. They interviewed known offenders, tracked suspicious movements, compared criminal history. Slowly, one suspect emerged. Investigators identified Charles Supapak Jr. Evidence connected him directly to the rape and murder of Lydia Schumacher. The case deeply disturbed investigators because of the victim's age and vulnerability. The community was horrified that someone capable of such brutality had lived among ordinary people unnoticed. Charles Supapak Jr. was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. For Lydia's family, the conviction ended years of grief and fear. Texas Rangers were praised for refusing to let the case grow cold. Their persistence ensured the killer could never harm another victim again. But the memory of the farmhouse murder haunted Texas communities for years afterward. August 8, 1994, Dallas, a completely different kind of murder investigation was about to begin. James Sykes, a 38-year-old man, was stabbed to death. The attack was violent and personal. Unlike the isolated farmhouse case, this murder unfolded in the middle of a busy urban environment filled with confusion, witnesses, and conflicting stories. Investigators quickly realized something was unusual. The killing did not appear random. Witnesses gave inconsistent statements. Some people seemed nervous. Others appeared to know more than they admitted. Texas Rangers assisted Dallas investigators in organizing interviews and reconstructing events leading to the stabbing. The deeper they looked, the more complicated the case became. Authorities uncovered evidence pointing toward Tina Sampson. Investigators believed she played a role in organizing and conspiring in the murder plot against James Sykes. The case exposed manipulation, hidden motives, and betrayal behind the scenes. The Rangers continued pushing witnesses until the conspiracy began falling apart. Investigators also identified Terry Brown. Evidence connected him directly to the fatal stabbing of James Sykes. The investigation revealed how personal conflict escalated into deadly violence. Every lead told by suspects eventually unraveled under investigative pressure. The courts eventually delivered punishment. Tina Sampson received a 20-year sentence for conspiracy to murder. Terry Brown received a life sentence for killing James Sykes. For investigators, the convictions marked the end of another exhausting homicide investigation. For the victim's family, it meant justice had finally arrived. Across all three cases, the Texas Rangers played critical roles. They coordinated investigations across jurisdictions, tracked suspects relentlessly, reopened weak leads, pressed witnesses for answers, refused to quit when cases became difficult. The Rangers built their legacy on persistence. Criminals could run, hide evidence, move bodies, lie repeatedly. But investigators kept coming. One terrifying truth connected to every case: the killers did not look like monsters. They appeared ordinary. People trusted them, spoke with them, lived near them. That reality frightened communities more than anything else. Because evil rarely announces itself openly. Behind every headline were families destroyed by grief. Billy Stton and Lety Castro's loved ones lost to people at once. Lydia Schumacher's family struggled, knowing she died alone during a brutal attack. James Sykes' relatives faced the sudden shock of violent murder. Even after convictions, the pain never truly disappears. Texas is enormous. Its highways stretch forever. Its farmland hides silence, its cities never sleep. Killers often believed they could disappear into that vast landscape forever. But the Texas Rangers believed in something stronger than fear. A man in the wrong cannot stand up against a man in the right who keeps on coming. And in every one of these cases, justice eventually caught up with the people responsible. If justice still matters to you, subscribe and stand with us. Because silence helps criminals, every story deserves to be heard. Every victim deserves justice. Stay aware, stay safe.